You're listening to Live Wild Radio, the part-time adventure podcast.
Join us as we explore how outdoor adventures build mind, body, and spirit. Welcome back to Live Wild Radio. I'm Catherine.
I'm Winston.
And we're going to continue on our bent about, getting in shape, the best shape of your life, but how to transform your body. This is coming out of the many questions we had from episode 61, where we got into detail about my story in losing 60 pounds. It was over a course of several years. Where'd it go? I don't know. I don't give a fuck.
I do. See, this is the thing. They were giving off as heat, and you breathed them out.
What?
It's a thing about fat metabolism.
Okay, well, there you go.
You literally...
Actually, I'm really hot today.
You breathed your fatness out.
Yeah. I wish it was that easy.
Well, it is. It just takes a long time.
Yeah. But, we had a lot of questions after that one episode about give us the details. So today we're going to do a deeper dive into that. But before we start, let's introduce our background for folks that are joining us for the first time. So my end, fitness for me really started when I first reconnected with Winston about 5-6 years ago. And it was in a sense where I was really keen on making a change. I was 230 pounds.
38, I think was your high
at the most, but then at that point it was 230. And I was in a situation where I was literally on my last leg, my last knee, because I had found out I had stage 4 osteoarthritis in my right knee, stage 2 my left. Stage 4 means that's your last stage before you go to knee replacement. So I knew that when I was walking downstairs and not being able to hold my own weight without holding onto a railing, there was a problem. So I was highly motivated to make a change, and rather than listen to orthopedic surgeon and not do the things that I love, which at that time was hiking, backpacking, strength training, because I had just started with Winston regardless to try and make a change, to get a second opinion, and learned very quickly that strength training and weight loss were key. So that was my motivation, and that was completely new to me, strength training. So Winston, having been a trainer and trained me, and we became really good workout partners for each other, I learned a lot. I had a lot of aha moments. And if I could do it all over, number one, I wish I had gotten into it in high school. Number two, strength training is hands down more important, I think, than cardio, which you always hear about cardio, right? People always want to improve that. And, and it's very much a lifestyle change, right? To make it successful. So as you say, form follows function. Right. So I was new at it, and probably very relatable to many people. I have kids, but I co-parent, and I really don't like working out. I don't think a lot of people love it. I can geek out on it.
There's a lot of people that do.
Yeah. I mean, I do geek out on it when I get into it, but it takes me a lot to work out on my own. I have to be on a challenge. So I find ways around that. Nonetheless, I found the way to make it work, and I want to share those details with you. Winston, how about you? Give us your background.
So I've been, in one way or another, a competitive athlete most of my life. I'm a cycling and triathlon and just general athletic trainer. Been doing that for the better part of 30 years. And I'm a nerd about this stuff. I'm a very big proponent of, and this just goes in any field, of stripping out the bullshit, right? Like, and fitness is one of those areas that is full of bullshit, because if what you're saying is simple and streamlined, it's really hard to have like that funky, I have the secret sales hook. Right. So much of the fitness world is full of shit because they're trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
Right. And even when it comes to like my coaching service, I look at it sort of in a different way. My marketing is nothing is more fun than success. Right. So even if the methods we use, some seem exotic if people haven't done them before.
Sure.
But they're simple as shit.
They are.
right?
Which is why I like them.
Yeah. And they work, right?
Yeah.
Because the fanciest workouts or diet plans or any of these things don't mean anything, right? If they don't actually get you results.
Yeah. And so Winston and I met when he had a bike shop, probably in 2010-ish, something, 2009. And I had signed up for your training at the back of the shop. It was December 26th, Boxing Day, and best investment. And it was great deal. I went in, I think 3 days a week. And I got, it was your slower season. So you'd spend quite a bit of time, like maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And it was a combination between, I guess, like circuit training and cycling. I had never, ever in my life had such positive results for what seemed to be effective use of time. And I didn't feel like somebody kicked me in the gut, because I hate that feeling. The idea of you're so sore in your muscles that you can't walk the next day and you don't want to come back. And so that was incredibly rewarding and addictive, as you were saying. Nothing is better than success. So that's why people, I think, should really listen to this episode on, the fitness and the nutrition. And so we're going to share that with you. But before we do, we want to talk about the why.
Yeah. So one of the things, and as a society in North America, obesity's on the rise. All sorts of health issues that come from it are on the rise. And we can sort of, it's people's, go lifestyle, easily accessible calories. There's all sorts of reasons for it. But we're also faced with a movement, which I think came out of a good place. But this idea now that healthy at any size, right? And it's one of those things, it basically, what has happened, I think, is putting the mental health of overweight and obese people ahead of the physical health, right?
Yeah.
And we've talked before how physical health and mental health are connected anyway.
Yeah.
But there is, like, you're sort of that perfect example, that you were heavy enough and weak enough that walking down the stairs, your knees were, to the point where they would just, collapse.
They would.
You get out of breath easier,
Yeah.
because you're just, because we're backpackers, we equate it to the fact that you've lost 2 backpacks worth of camping gear.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Right. Well, there's no way around it. Like, if you enjoy backpacking,
Yeah.
and you're, in your case, like, 60 pounds heavier, and then you put like another 30 pounds on your back, your joints are getting the shit kicked out of them. Right. And if you're going anywhere that isn't flat, you're working so much harder because you have to overcome gravity going up. And then going down beats the crap out of your joints. Right. So people don't have to be, movie star lean, because movie stars are only that lean for the movies.
Right.
Right. There's sort of healthy and athletic, and then there's show-offy.
Sure.
And the fact is that whether it's fitnessy people you see in magazines or Instagram that have the perfect lighting, they did a water cut, because to have that sort of like painted on, like your skin looks like shrink wrap kind of abs look.
Yeah.
You're dehydrated for that.
Yeah, we're not talking about that, but
Yeah.
we're recognizing the fact that, like, so you're 50, I'm 46, right? As you age, it becomes more and more important. You will lose strength, and if you don't use it, you lose it. I see that in relatives, and it's they're often my motivation, to be honest with you.
Like almost a negative motivation. I don't want to be there.
Oh, totally. And when I was already experiencing what I was, that was scary. And I think, you know, people talk about how to be successful. Honestly, the environment in which you live, the people who which you surround yourself by, the work that you do, and your family will determine your success. You want to know what you're going to look like? Look at the people around you. Mm-hmm. It really is true. And I think that made sense because I remember we talked about why is it that I never understood how important strength training was, or how important you just got to work out. And, you know, in my marriage, we were both overweight. When I look at all the people who I hung out with, we all had this similar lifestyles. We're too busy. We have kids, or we became comfortable being over. You just become comfortable. And everybody would always say, Catherine, you're beautiful. It's not about that. It's about being healthy. Mm-hmm. Right. And so when I look at my friends now, it's like night and day. It's all driven by interest. It's not like something I, you know, did on purpose. But that's where building a lifestyle of what you want. And that's what it was all motivated by as well. I mean, I had separated from my ex and of a very long marriage and relationship. I was rebuilding my life. I was discovering what I wanted to do. And I had the opportunity to start doing that. Mm-hmm. And that included the outdoors and adventure. But now I needed to get fit for it.
You didn't have the vehicle to do what your imagination saw.
I didn't. And I knew from a health perspective, it was really important to get my shit together. Mm-hmm. So that was an astounding wake-up call. So we could go on and on about the why, but what do you think? Is there anything else you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, I think just the biggest thing is that we're all a work in progress, right? So, doing this stuff my whole life, I keep like finding goals and working towards them, right? And there isn't an end goal or an end point,
right?
Till you're dead. Then it's over. But that idea, like, don't think of, if you sort of look at yourself in the mirror, or you get that health scare when the doctor, your yearly physical, or your insurance rates go up, or, whatever it is, you will run into the thing where you didn't get where you are overnight, right? So it's not going to be like, I'm going to do like a 6-week or 8-week program and then the whole world's fixed.
Right.
Right. It's going to be a thing of changing your whole lifestyle, right? Because the lifestyle you had that got you to the place where you weren't fit and you were overweight, you can't just change things for a little bit and then go back to that and expect you're not going to get back to where you were.
That's a great point, because you hear about people going on 3-month diets and challenges and body transformations to get to a point, but then they gain it all back. It's not going to work. You really need to look at, what do you want more of in your life, right? In terms of activity, in terms of even rituals, like how you cook, who you spend time with. And the more that is centered around the things that we're going to talk about, mm-hmm. right? Diet, activity. But essentially that's your lifestyle.
Yeah.
It will just naturally fall into place. It won't be overnight, but we're going to talk about ways to keep moving it along.
Yeah.
Because you hit plateaus. I did. Like, this all started about 5 years ago for me, right? But there's some pretty significant things that helped. So let's kick it off.
Sure.
All right. So of the fitness and diet, I know you have an opinion on this. What is the most important?
Number one is the exercise.
Why?
So a couple of different things. Number one, if you are strength training regularly, your body's insulin sensitivity mm-hmm. Will improve, which makes it easier to burn fat. Right? If you just cut calories, but you're not keeping up on the, I guess we'll call it like the more like hormonal level of how your body breaks fat down and what have you, mm-hmm. you can lose weight but you're going to lose like fat and muscle together.
Right.
And muscle is active tissue.
Yeah.
Right? Muscle burns more calories at rest than fat does.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it's why, Catherine was talking about strength training being so important, because she said cardio or strength training. One of the things you run into is your strength training is cardio training.
Yeah.
Right? Not even if you do circuits like we do or anything like that. But if you do any compound movements that use big muscle groups like your legs and that kind of thing, they will get your heart rate up. And if you get your heart rate up a bunch of times in a workout, it's going to have a cardiovascular effect.
The example that I also like using, why I like strength training over cardio, if I had to pick one, and only one to start, is how I had, gone cycling and out in the country, and it had been a long while, and I've been training at this point, strength training for at least over a year, and had to go up a hill. And that hill that I had remembered in the past without any kind of exercise, like strength training, I was out of breath. And this time I did it, I'm like, not out of breath. I'm like, how the heck? Like, it was very noticeable. I'm like, how the heck? And I noticed it a couple of years later again when I got back, I was doing more ride in the city. Same thing. I was more agile. I'm like, and you talked to me about that. We talked and you said, you have more muscles. You can power through shit. I'm like, whoa. Yeah.
And the thing is that strength training, the way that it tends to be structured is you do a set, rest, do a set, rest, do a set, rest. So from a cardiovascular standpoint, that's interval training, right? So yes, we're doing it with an emphasis on building strength and muscle mass.
Right.
But, it has a cardiovascular benefit.
Yeah.
Right. So it's one of those things where strength training done correctly has a bunch of benefits. Right. Whereas cardiovascular training, like going for a long bike ride or a run or, whatever it happens to be, it has health benefits and fitness benefits. It's just not as many of them.
Right.
Right. And so an ideal program is both. Right. But if you only were picking one, it's strength training every day of the week.
Right. And I also really like it. This is the last thing I'll say before we get into like the key ones that we suggest doing that have worked tremendously, especially in this past year when we've been working out from home. We've had the most success, like wild success out of. But I really like strength training because I find when I work out, everything else falls into place.
Yes.
So I drink more water. I need it. Suck it back. And I hate drinking water. Hate it. I think a lot of people can relate to this. Number 2, I am not hungry after I've worked out. Like it suppresses my appetite.
Yep.
So, and then number 3, and you've mentioned this, when you put the work in and do something hard and take care of your body, it kind of already sets you on this path of continuously taking care of your body. You start to think twice about what you eat. And there puts a massive, I think, a little bit more of a push towards protein. You become a bit more conscious of that because you're
trying to feed those muscles.
Does protein help with recovery?
Yeah. Like if you don't have the protein, the amino acids.
Right. And lactic acid in your muscles?
Nothing to do with lactic acid.
I used to think that.
But having, like after you work out, like if you don't have adequate protein in your system, like the amino acids, it doesn't have the building blocks it needs to repair the muscles.
Yeah.
Right. So, but then having an adequate amount of protein in your diet tends to keep you full longer. Protein tends to be harder to turn into fat, as far as your body is concerned.
Right.
So there's a bunch of benefits to having more protein in your diet.
Right. I've got a couple more pros here because it's truly like a snowball effect, the way I look at it. You sleep better. Your body's tired.
Which, the strength training?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Exercise. Like if you had to pick nutrition and exercise, like these are like things just fall into place. You sleep better. Your mental outlook, mental wellness is much better. I've never ever walked away from a workout feeling worse than I did coming into it mentally, emotionally.
Yeah. I've had some where I've walked away feeling worse. physically.
Right.
But, then that goes away.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, that was a hard one. But one of the other things, too, is that if you, dear listener, are over 35, then our strength training message is super important, because if you do nothing about it, after 35, you're gradually losing muscle mass. And one of the kind of things you can see, they've done like MRIs, of the thigh.
Mm-hmm.
And what they see in people that don't strength train is the rough circumference stays the same.
Okay.
And the muscle shrinks and the fat increases. Mm. So you didn't get any bigger, right? You didn't get fatter. Well, percentage-wise you did, but you didn't get, your leg didn't get bigger in circumference, like a measurement around, but you gave up, when this is by the time you're in your 70s, you've given up, over half of your muscle mass, and it's been replaced with fat mass. And muscle is what moves us.
Yeah.
Right? Being able to get off the toilet, being able to, just a better quality of life.
Yeah.
When we refer to, or when you hear people referred to as feeble, right? That's just another word for weak. Most elderly people that have issues, and there's been cool studies done with this, elderly people that need assistance with a lot of things,
right?
They put them on a strength training program, and it's nothing fancy. Like, they're not slinging barbells around and anything like that, but they put them on a strength training program, and as they progressed, they needed less and less assistance in their daily life, because most of the time they needed assistance is that they were too weak to do things.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you get on that now, before you get to that point, when you're in your 70s, you're one of these annoying 70-year-olds who just does shit all the time, as opposed to using a walker or a scooter or, those types of things.
Yeah. If you don't use it, you will lose it. So, okay. So we really learned a lot, because when we first started working out together, we were powerlifting. Mm-hmm. And because of COVID, and then we, other activities that I think really helped us was bouldering. We're rock climbers, right? We added that as more of an activity, but inherently there's strength training.
Yeah, because it's a physical activity that you overload.
Yeah. But then COVID came, we had to start working out from home, and that kind of really changed things. And so when it comes to fitness, our home workout routines now are actually combined strength and cardio. Talk about that.
Well, basically, what makes something cardiovascularly demanding is what your rest periods are, right? Any strength training program, and this will generally mean that you have to use less weight. But if you shorten your rest periods between exercises, between sets, your body isn't recovering as much. So it naturally has more oxygen demand.
So we do every minute on the minute workouts. So what that means is that you hit your timer, say you do 10 minutes, just say, random number. On the minute, you do your workout, say your reps is 10 reps of push-ups, whatever. You do your 10 push-ups. Once you're done for that same minute, you rest until the next minute goes and it beeps.
And then you go again.
And you go again. And say you're just doing 10 sets of push-ups, right? You go again, you go again, you go again. And when you think about that, think about when you're at the gym, right? Or let me take a step back. Let's not talk about push-ups. Let's talk about, say, barbell press. Say you have a barbell or a dumbbell press. Obviously, because you're going every minute, it can't be a super heavy weight, like maximal effort, or, it's going to be a lower weight that you can do. That's work. Well, if you're doing that at the gym, typically when you're at the gym, you get into this mindset of doing heavier weights. Your rest periods in between tend to be longer, which I hate, because that means it's a long workout. So I love every minute on the minute, because our workouts can be anywhere between 25 and 40 minutes, usually on average half hour. You get so much work done.
Yeah, because in 24 minutes, you did 24 sets of exercise.
But because you were going every minute on the minute, it turns into cardio naturally. So my heart rates are usually about, they can range. Really, they can range. And I have a high heart rate, but I can go anywhere between 130 and sometimes 160, right? So I guess that would be 130 would be my aerobic state at the top end, to 160 would be my anaerobic, right? But nevertheless, I don't like working out. I like to keep it short and sweet, effective, so that right away halves the time. And because you're going every minute on the minute, it's cardio. And then another trick is you can not just do the same exercise every minute on the minute. You could do one exercise, one muscle group, switch to another muscle group, right? Or you could do it right away. That could be another thing that you do. But because you're doing another muscle group, you're not tiring the first one. So again, it's cardio. But overall, there's a fatigue on the body, on the body, right? Which again shortens your workout time, and you get the cardio element into it.
Yeah. So your cardiovascular endurance fitness, improves your work capacity. You get stronger. You build muscle. And because in a given amount of time, you're doing a lot of work, you burn a lot of calories.
And because of these workouts, in our case, we didn't have heavy weights. We worked with kettlebells and some dumbbells and stuff like that, because we didn't, we don't have a squat rack. You don't get the same aches and pains in your joints, and maybe it's our age, that we used to at the gym.
Yeah.
When we were doing really heavy weights, where now we're doing lower weights, more volume.
Yeah.
So we feel better.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things where you won't develop as much maximal strength. But for the average person, the average outdoor athlete, like as a backpacker, mountain biker, rock climber, or any of these things, your maximal strength, how much you can lift once, isn't that useful.
It's not.
Right? But being able to do things over and over and over again without undue fatigue, that is useful.
It's quick.
It's a useful skill or
totally.
Fitness, quality to develop. And then the fact that when you're training really heavy, like let's say you're doing really heavy sets of 3, in the barbell squat. Well, you might do 4 or 5 sets of 3 reps, but it takes half an hour to do that. Right?
Yeah, I don't have time for that.
Especially counting your warm-ups and all that kind of thing. So a half hour into your workout, you've done one exercise. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Whereas here, a half hour into a workout, we're done.
You know what? And for some people, that might be, the cat's ass, that that's what they want to do. And that's fine. Go for it. But I think most people don't have time, to even get into this. It's a stretch for them. So let's just keep it simple. And I love that. Meanwhile, you're getting the cardio. To me, it's a twofer. Yeah. It's amazing. And I see the results so much more now than I did from the powerlifting translate into my mountain biking, hands down, my rock climbing. I've been, because I've dropped weight, and you drop weight because it's not just getting strong. Yeah. It really moved the needle for me, which was really exciting, and it's motivating.
Yeah. Progress is motivating.
So we talked about every minute on the minute. Are there any other game changers? And by the way, we have an episode
called Fitness Game Changers.
Episode 56. We'll put it in the show notes. We talk about some of this.
So as it pertains to fat loss, because that's sort of the general gist of this episode. Yeah. Build, and this goes for almost any athletic training. You build your program, like your strength program, around pushing and pulling upper body movements, hip hinging, which is like deadlift, kettlebell swing, banded, like a good morning, anything where you go from like flat back, bent over position where you feel like tension in your hamstrings, like a stretch, and then under load, stand up straight. And you can even do the glute bridge or the hip thrust, because your hips are bent and then you're straightening your hips, right? It's stuff that works the hamstrings, the butt, the lower back. Depending on the movement, it can use a bunch of, like if you're doing a deadlift, you're upper back and shoulders and grip and everything are involved as well. Squatting motions, and that includes lunges, and then loaded carries, which is basically just pick up heavy shit and walk with it.
And so, aside from Coach Dan John, two first names, I hate that. Anyway, he's really good.
Yeah.
But I think I've been hearing that across the industry from a lot of the coaches out there.
Yeah.
They keep talking about the same thing over, and it's very simple. You know, you hear about other things that you can add in. It's a lot of fluff, like abs. You really don't need to, because when you do things like squats, especially when they're loaded, you can do a goblet squat.
Like front loaded squats.
Yeah, that's core.
Loaded carries, hit your core. Like, we're not adverse to doing, but we're
keeping it simple.
Yeah. Like, obviously, if you want to finish off with some like ab wheel and leg raises,
go for it.
Yeah.
And actually, when we really start to focus on that, the ab wheel is phenomenal. The leg raises, there's a couple different variations. I got a lot out of that. Yeah. I was surprised, actually. And then we also use the resistance bands, where you have it at a 45-degree angle, right?
Well, it's really 90-degree angle to your body.
Sorry, 90-degree angle, my bad. And you have your arms stretched out, and you're pulling, you're bringing it towards you as you're, it's stretched out.
We'll do a link for the Palloff press.
The pallet press, yeah. So this is a really Palloff press.
Yep.
Let me write that down. And that's a really good one for the core. So
yeah, it's an anti-rotational exercise. So basically, it engages your core so your body doesn't rotate, like twist under load. Right, it teaches you to resist twisting versus twisting, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So anyways, quick and simple exercises that you can do that really are effective. You don't need to do a lot more than that.
Yeah, because, and I'm a big proponent of the keep it simple, like push-ups. That's a push. That's a horizontal push, right? And it's a plank, so your abs are engaged.
Yep.
Right? Body rows. Mm-hmm. You need, obviously, like a TRX or gymnastics rings. Well, that's not a body row.
Oh, it's not? Where you're hunched over and you row?
No, that's a dumbbell row.
Sorry, of course. That's not a body row. Yeah, but it's a row, and that could be considered a pull.
So those are horizontal pulls.
But the body rows are really good.
And then pull-ups or pull-downs. Right, it's a vertical pull, and then an overhead press, whether it's dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells, right? So now you do a horizontal press and a vertical press, a horizontal pull and a vertical pull.
And do you recommend one over the other if you're going to pick one?
Why rotate through them?
Sure, you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, because the muscles are trained, like they're different movement patterns.
Right.
And then, as far as the squats go, you can do like just a body weight squat to start with, working on like slow and controlled, getting your butt below your knee height.
Right.
You can do like a rear stepping lunge, uses the same muscles that squats use. You can do step ups, like if you've got like a bench or a 12 to 16 inch high step. You step up on it and then stand up.
Oh, for the squat?
Because that's the same motion.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
If you get really strong at step-ups, your squat's probably going to have gotten better.
And also you can get bands for your thighs, right?
Yep.
Where you can, when you do a squat, you push out. And you can get them in light, medium, and heavy as far as the resistance. I find that's really a great way to add, just to take it to the next level.
Yeah, and it adds basically tension to the glutes.
Right.
And fires them more. Because, obviously female listeners, and this goes for everybody, but like generally I found female clients want to change the shape of their butts, right? And, lift it and tighten and round and all that stuff. But everybody benefits from a stronger butt.
Oh my God. But females, and I learned this because of my knees, because of our hips, when we walk, we are quad dominant. Men are not. They're glute dominant. So they have strong glutes, naturally speaking, because of the shape of their hips. And so women tend to have a lot more knee problems than men because when they walk and hike and they do a lot of that, they're not engaging their glutes. Therefore, it can lead to back pain as well. So this is something that women really need to spend more time paying attention to, aside from just the shape and look of your body.
Yeah, but everybody benefits because powerful hip extension, which is, extended by the glutes, supported by the hamstrings and the lower back. Powerful hip extension is the center of all athletic movement, right? Pedaling a bike, it's got a knee extension, but it's also got a powerful hip extension. Jumping, hiking, running, anything like hockey or football or like any sports, are all, the people with the most powerful hip extension are the fastest. Right? So not only do you look better in your jeans, with a nice round firm butt, but you also perform better.
Right.
And you're less likely to get injured. Right? So
examples
of
hip extension.
A deadlift, a hip thrust, a good morning, a kettlebell swing. They're all hip extensions.
Yeah, bridge glutes.
Well, that's a hip thrust.
Hip thrust.
A hip thrust with the shoulder, like a glute bridge or a hip thrust. The only difference between them is a glute bridge, your feet and shoulders are on the floor, whereas with a hip thrust, your shoulders are supported at a higher level. So it increases the range of motion. Like your shoulders might be up on a bench.
Right. And you can also do this standing where with the resistance band.
That's a good morning.
You can do a good morning. That's where you have this looped band. It's usually rubber. That's got lots of tension on it. And you wrap it around your neck and your feet. So you're in it. And then you lift up.
Yeah, you stand up.
Like,
because all it is, basically, the bottom position is keeping your back flat.
Yep.
Pivoting at the hip, your butt goes back, and you get a good hamstring stretch, and then stand up at attention.
Right.
Right? It's two positions.
Yeah. Or you could do deadlifts, or you can even go back to the good mornings, you can have some weights with that. So you can see how we add resistance, we add more weights to make it more difficult, and so it grows with you. It's not just, you're like, hey, what do I do next?
Yeah.
It's endless. And as you said, you can make it harder and more taxing on your body, either through volume, control how quickly you do it, or actually slowly you do it, or with more tension.
Yeah.
And weight.
So there's a bunch of ways, and what you're aiming for is just like little progress over time, right? Because if you have like a lot of small progresses, but it's over a period of weeks, months, years, it adds up to a lot of progresses.
Well, that's a good point. This is a good segue into tracking, because I don't know how many times I forget or I don't realize that I've hit a new personal best.
Yeah, because you don't write anything down.
Right. And so that's motivating. Writing out your plan, whatever your workout is. And we suggest how much in a week?
So like 3 full body workouts a week as a starting point.
Yeah.
And then as you get fitter, you can do like an upper lower body split if you want. Do your pushes and pulls on one day, and then do your squat and hip hinge on another day, and do that twice a week. And then mix your, get your weighted carries and a little bit of accessory exercises in there on both days.
Yeah.
Boom. Simple program.
And just to give people some examples, let's just break it down. So full body. So every minute on the minute, say you're rotating through everything. So you do your push, say push-ups. You do maybe...
Call it 5 reps.
5 reps. Okay.
Right.
You do your pull, whatever it is at. That's going to be...
You could do a dumbbell row, a body row.
And how many would you suggest? Ish.
Same idea.
Yeah.
Like 5-6 reps a set.
And what kind of exertion do you want people to feel?
Your first sets should be pretty easy. Pretty easy. And then, you should be happy that you're done at the end. Where it's like, you're still doing it, but it's work now, right? You just get, you're not grinding through those last reps. You're not going to fail, but it's hard.
Yeah, so maybe 70 at the end of, so you're doing, we'll go through the rest of the examples of how many of each of those key exercises, but you might be doing how many, if you're doing a full body.
Yeah, so we'll make it really simple. We're going to do a push exercise. That's going to be push-ups. We're going to do a pull exercise. We're going to do body rows, right? So maybe you got a TRX attached to a door frame, and that's like a suspension trainer. Look it up. Or gymnastics rings attached to something. Then
how many body rows? That's what I'm trying to get.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Then you're going to do a squat, and we're going to do a goblet squat. So whether you hold a dumbbell or a kettlebell, and you're holding it in front of your chest, at chest height, and then we'll do a Romanian deadlift, which is you've got a weight in each hand or a barbell, and those two positions I talked about, you basically keeping your back flat and tight, you gradually bend at the hip, until you're getting a stretch in your hamstrings. You pause, and then you stand back up. That's the Romanian deadlift. And as you go down, your butt will go back a little just to keep you balanced. And there is, your push-pull, your squat, and your hinge, your hip hinge. We add into that a farmer's carry, which is just you're going to pick up a weight in each hand, and you're going to walk. And so we've got 5 exercises. We're going to make this a 25-minute workout. You're going to do 5 minutes of each. So when the timer beeps, you do 5 push-ups. Whatever's left in the minute is your rest. You do that 5 times. After those 5 sets, you switch over to your body rows. You do 5 reps each. And do your 5 sets. When that switches, you go to your squats. When you've done your 5 sets, and we'll say 10 reps of each. And then you go to your Romanian deadlift. And then finally, with the weighted carries, we do 30 steps each, right? Which takes about 30 seconds, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Yeah. And so the Romanian deadlifts, that's 10 as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what you want to do is have your work to rest ratio be in the, give or take, 20 to 30 seconds of work with, 30 to 40 seconds of rest, right? So some exercises are a little quicker than others. So you'll adjust that around a little bit. And then, basically you just do that 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's super simple. And you can progress by either adding an extra minute per exercise. So instead of 5 rounds, you're doing 6. Or you can also add
reps,
right? So instead of doing 5 reps for your push-ups, when they feel pretty easy, go up to 6. It might even be 6 just for the first set, and then 5 for the rest. And then a week later, you do 6 for the first 2, right? Just little progresses,
right,
over time. And then, of course, you can increase weight. So because you've got those parameters you can play with, you can progress for quite a while.
Yeah.
Without really even changing up your exercise as much.
Then there's an interesting program workout by Coach Dan John called Easy Strength. And it's essentially these same principles of these 5 core exercises, right? Your push, pull, squat, hip hinge, and carry.
Yeah.
And over the course of 2 months, you're going to work out 5 days a week. But the rule of thumb here is that for each of the workouts, like each of the exercises, you do no more than 10 reps of them. So you can break that out into like 1 set of 10, or you can do
two sets
of 5.
3
Doesn't
sets
matter.
of 3.
You just do it. And it should be work, but nothing hard. And it's easy.
You never miss reps. Like you never hit failure. They shouldn't be grinders where, you shouldn't have to get psyched up to do reps.
Right. And essentially, what kind of rest is there? Is it every minute on the minute too?
No.
No, you just do it.
No, you basically...
Because it's only 10.
And because, when you hear Dan John answer questions about it, people always ask about the rest. It's like, go when you're ready. Like, this isn't complicated.
Basically, just do it.
Yeah.
So, you know what? For the ease of it, just do 10 in a row. Just do it if you don't want to figure it.
No, but the thing is, you're if all you're doing is the 10 in a row, you're not using enough load.
Okay, well, then say that.
Well, I am.
Okay, so then how do you figure out what's the right load?
When it's easy, go heavier.
All right.
That's like, seriously, that's how he teaches it. But the thing is that like none of your workouts should be that hard.
Out of 1 to 10, what should it feel like? Like a 7?
No, like a 5.
Okay.
Like that's what I mean. It shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah.
And he's actually come up with a program for weight loss. Now you need an hour a day, right? So this is
right.
So you do your easy strength workout, and an easy strength workout, literally, like even if you're like dragging your ass, takes 15 minutes.
Yeah.
If you're working out at home, right? Like it's convenient because you just got your stuff there. Then whatever's left in an hour, you take some like 3-pound hand weights. Maybe throw on a backpack or a weighted vest and go walk for the rest of the 45 minutes.
Do you have to do that right after?
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
Okay, but you can't like break that up in the day and do it.
Not for it to be as effective.
Okay.
And ideally, you want to do it in the morning.
Yes. And let's segue a little bit into nutrition because there's some other things that you can add on top of that, like fasting, intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the so Winston we just talked about the exercise and we talked about how we combine strength and cardio. And really for both of us, it's been incredibly effective.
And then fit in any other activity you can do. Like,
yeah.
Go ride your bike.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Walk regularly. Get a dog. So you have to go for a
walk.
Yeah.
So you want to aim minimum 10, like my goal, because I was working from home. I am working from home and I had some really bad days of only 2,000 steps, is 10,000 steps is my goal.
Yeah.
Because I think at a minimum, that's what it should be for everybody.
Yeah. Like just a normal human being.
And 10,000 steps is about an hour and a half of walking a day.
Yeah. But if you break that up into, and that's where like trackable devices like, Garmin watches or Fitbits or Apple watches or whatever.
Even your phone, you can get free tracking devices.
But they're useful because you run into the thing where now you have I've got a Garmin watch on. Right now, because I worked today and my job at the outdoor store, I walk all the time. I'm at 8,870 steps so far today. 18,000?
Oh, I thought you said 8,000.
No, 18.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's high. Yeah.
That's just a normal day for me.
For you. Right.
In addition to what I do for working out.
Right.
And so any ways that you can add some just middle movement in.
Yeah.
Right. Is really important because we're meant to move.
It totally is, because despite all the strength training cardio that I'm pretty good at, I've had some days where I went and walked for 2 hours and I was like friggin' sore. And it sounds ridiculous. It's just that I don't move that way normally, right? Yep. So as you mentioned, get a dog. This is an interesting kind of concept. I didn't realize I was doing it. I got into dog sitting because we really enjoy dogs, especially during COVID for company and a hobby, whatever, and make some money. But outside of that, man, like just the amount of, I easily get 10,000 steps a day, easy. And it becomes a ritual and it's really relaxing. And it's good for mental health.
You got to take the dog out in the morning.
And you need to move.
You got to take him out at lunch.
People who work from home, they need to get off their chairs.
Yeah.
That's become a real epidemic with people just, bad, injuries from being sucked into the computer. But the other thing that I wanted to mention, I forgot. Doesn't matter.
Well, you know what they say. If you can't remember, it must have not been that important.
It was. All right. So segue, intermittent fasting.
Yeah. So we'll get into. So here's my approach to food. Right. You can obviously do keto. You can do this. You can do that. Like keto works for you. But foundationally, I'm a huge proponent of intermittent fasting, and what that means is eating in a narrower window, like the 16-8 fast, which means 16 hours of fasting, 8-hour window that you eat in. Mm-hmm. And now don't eat for the entire 8 hours, but that's when you have to get your nutrition in. So the way that works for us is you get up in the morning, you have a coffee without sugar,
or cream,
because you don't want calories. And then you don't eat till noon or 1 o'clock. And after the first week or so of doing that, you adapt very quickly, and it's not a big deal.
It shrinks your stomach.
Yeah. But also there's a bunch of health benefits because it gives your digestive system a break. Mm-hmm. You feel better. You have less brain fog.
It's less calories.
And then immediately it's less calories because you just have one meal less a day. Mm-hmm. And whoever said breakfast is the most important meal of the day, for adults, it's not.
Not when you sit around.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, food isn't, how do I put this? We don't move enough to generally consume the type of food and carbs that we eat. Mm-hmm. You need to look at it as a source of fuel for what you're doing. And if you're not doing a heck of a lot, well,
your gas tank is already full.
Yeah.
And the fact is, if you are overweight, right? Like if you can grab your gut and you got a handful or your sides or wherever, what that is stored granola bars, mm-hmm. right? That's food, right? It is stored energy. And
you can tap into that.
Yeah.
So intermittent fasting works.
So basically from when you have your first meal of the day, call it like 1 o'clock to your last time you eat, it has to be, it would be 9 o'clock is the last time you can eat. And then it's another 16 hours till you eat again. Very simple, a bunch of health benefits, and it works for losing body fat.
So the caffeine, what it does is it helps access your brown fat cells and which are easier to burn off.
Yeah.
So it makes them more readily available to burn. And so as you are exercising in the morning, and you want to be in an aerobic state, so walking.
Yeah, just go for a walk in the morning.
Yeah, and I used to do this. I used to wear a weighted vest and keep it light, target 130 heart rate, go for 45 minutes, and it'll make a difference. So that's something that's really worked for me. The other thing that so Winston's mentioned, I'm on keto. I'm actually starting again to more like full on. And, going on keto is not just enough. And for people who don't know what that is, essentially you're focusing on protein, fat, and carbs, but carbs being super low, like 5% of your diet. It's carbs. Majority of it is fat and protein.
Yeah.
And so I have found the most success in following a menu plan. Because originally when I started to do it, I would just eat keto foods, but you have to really track your macronutrients, which is those things that I just mentioned.
How many calories? Because you can be eating good healthy foods, right? And I'll give you some guidelines for good healthy foods shortly, but you can still just eat too much of them,
right?
Right. So outside of the intermittent fasting, then another little simple to incorporate guideline is don't drink your calories. I make an exception for protein shakes.
Okay.
But outside of that, no pop, no juice, like basically because they don't really fill you up. But it almost all of the calories you drink are sugar.
Right.
Right. So, and sugar turns to body fat very easily. Mm-hmm. So if you just cut out drinking your calories, you immediately have now made a nice little hole calorically in your diet. And then the other one, and this one takes a little bit more thinking or nuance. But if you think about the fact there are essential amino acids, right? There's essential proteins that your body cannot make. There's essential fatty acids your body can't make, right? So when you're looking at creating a nutrition plan, you want to make sure you're getting healthy fats like, omega-3s, fish oils, olive oils, basically healthy fats, avocados, that kind of thing, and proteins, right? Because there's essential, like it's right in the name, essential amino acids, essential fatty acids. And I'm sort of oversimplifying this a little bit, but just more for the thought experiment in people's heads. There are no essential carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are fuel, right? So as Catherine was saying, if you're not doing a lot, you don't need a lot of fuel.
Yeah.
You still need your essential fatty acids and you need your essential proteins, your essential amino acids. Yeah. So, each day, make sure you're getting between 0.7 and 1 gram of protein, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And make sure that you're getting, healthy fat sources. And adjust your carbohydrate intake. If you're not being ketogenic, like if you're not following a keto diet like Catherine does, which is basically a low-carb, higher-fat diet, then adjust your fuel intake, your carbohydrates, based on what you're doing, right? Like yesterday we went for a 3-hour mountain bike ride. I needed more carbs than I do on a day that I'm off and I'm sitting at my computer writing all day.
Yeah, it's really interesting because even when I've been on keto in the past, right, I found that when one of the issues you have to watch with keto, and it's different for everybody, is making sure that you get certain minerals, so you don't get brain fog, which would happen to me quite a bit, and especially when you're rock climbing, you need to have.
I really want her to pay attention to what the hell she's doing.
So at that point, I remember a couple times where I, obviously there's strong communication going on about how I'm feeling because I'm not, something's going on. So then, I'd be taking, regardless, if I want to rock climb, I got to consume some carbs.
Yeah.
Like ASAP. So again, you don't, like, carbs is not the enemy. When you are doing, so that's specific to cognitive function. That's not even burn. That's just how I was feeling.
Yes, because your brain runs on glucose.
Right. So I no longer worry about breaking the keto diet. In other words, in consuming a granola bar or something that's high in carbs to function properly. I don't worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes it's very funny because at first you're like trying to get over the idea of eating so much fat. Like that's hard because you've been conditioned all your life to have everything low fat.
Yeah.
And then once you're on it, you're like, how do I can't eat this, because it's got carbs. You can't think, you need to get over that. So let me just go back to why I'm going on the keto diet tomorrow, back to fat loss. Mm-hmm. If you follow a menu plan, you immediately lose a bunch of water. But I can lose, because I've done it, 10 to 12 pounds in 1 week. That gets me really excited. It gets me my next plateau or my next milestone, I should say, right? Because I'm 176 now. I want to get into the 160, so I'm super motivated. So that'll get me on track to get in that direction. I'll do it for a month. And of course, if I'm riding, I will cheat and take some carbs because I need it if I want to, or maybe I'll experiment. Mm-hmm. But I might have, anyways, I'll experiment on that.
Yeah.
But once I've hit that marker of what my goal was, right, I'll just start to introduce carbs. This is once I've done my BO plan.
But now I'm going to pick your brain about this.
Okay.
Are you really only doing, because to me, the only real reason to do keto.
Oh, no, there's other reasons.
Is to reduce inflammation. Right? For you with your knees.
I definitely noticed because I was on holidays with the kids and I had, some junk food carbs.
Yeah. Hands
down, like sugar or burgers, like fries, whatever. I noticed a difference in my hands and my joints. Like for me, inflammation, that's an issue with arthritis. So that's another reason why I do it. But I have been able, outside of that, been able to have keto with some carbs, like granola bars, when we're riding, and it doesn't bother me. So I think it's because I burn it versus it just hanging out in my body. Maybe that's the reason why. And it's not just processed carbs, right? Or complex carbs. Is that what that is?
Which?
Or sorry, when it comes to carbs, there's like fruits and vegetables or certain, starchy
those are
foods.
great for you.
Right. So on keto, you tend to not eat that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I have no issue with adding that in when I'm going to do more demanding things.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So that's how I will adjust my diet. The junk food, hands down, avoid it. I think you should. Unless...
No, there's no unless. Just avoid the junk food.
Generally, avoid it.
Because the problem is that the things we categorize as junk food, right? Like potato chips.
Anything processed.
Crackers and candy. It's all engineered to be hyper palatable.
Sure.
That, it's like, just think of Frito-Lay. I think it was Frito-Lay. I bet you can't eat just one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bet they'll win because they engineered it that way.
Yeah.
Right? They've basically, and this is the thing with a lot of junk food, like high fat, high carb
crackers,
like potato chips or high sugar things like candy, chocolate, all that. It hijacks the same pathways in your brain that heroin does.
Right.
Right? You get a junkie kick. Right? And that's why people have
such... It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're doing your shopping, like last night, we had the, like a very nice meal with our friends. We cooked pork on the smoker, we cooked chicken, and we cooked vegetables, and we had a salad.
It was good.
I didn't feel like I was eating health food.
No, but it was,
Right? But it was super healthy.
Yeah,
super satisfying.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of thing you'd pay big money to get at a restaurant.
Right.
But it was high protein, moderate carb, actually pretty low carb. We had the sweet potato wedges.
Right.
But they were baked.
Super delicious.
So a very super delicious, healthy meal. That you felt like was a treat.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the kind of thing that if you can structure.
Right.
And, it's just those little things.
Yeah. So, so as I said, keto diet's one thing, like a menu plan. The other thing that also really works when I don't want to do the keto diet menu plan, or because either I'm doing the menu plan or I'm doing this, which is going back to your protein, where you have so many grams, the same amount of grams as you weigh.
Yeah, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Which is, when you think about that, say you weigh 170, that's a lot of grams.
Yeah, and if you're 250...
It's a lot of grams. So when I was 200 pounds, I didn't do 200 grams. I did 150, but even 150 was a lot of grams. If you eat those grams and vegetables, you will fucking lose weight.
Yeah.
You won't even be hungry for anything else. I guarantee it. That is like the absolute go-to way to lose weight. So that's another way that works. And the protein you need to build muscle.
Yeah.
So it's such a win-win. And people who are hungry, like, you will not be hungry. And that's where I use protein shakes, by the way, because I know a lot of people are busy at lunch. And so we talked about that with a friend, and I said, grab a protein shake. I double up.
Yeah.
2
scoops.
And in fact, that's actually what I use when we go biking. We tend to go in the morning. I double up on my protein shakes, done, and I don't eat anything else. And I take some granola bars with me. So the protein shakes are probably just about 400 calories, almost 400 calories, maybe 450 actually. If I use almond milk, that's what it will be. And which I burn, plus another, say, 300, 400 calories in granola bars if I have 2.
Yeah.
That's 800 calories plus my mountain bike rides, minimum 1,100 calorie burn.
Yeah, and that's not counting the calories you burn just by being alive.
Yeah, I'm just talking about in that
moment
of what I consumed for that ride. I'm at a deficit.
Yeah.
And then aside from the rest of the day, because I guess a lot of people don't know this. So I burn probably around 1,600 calories a day just living.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it takes into account my walking. It does.
Because that's activity.
It's activity I do. Not the ones that I track. Anything I track, they add on, like they separate that out. What's activity? But if I just walk even just 4,000 steps a day, it's about 1,700 calories that I burn just living and walking.
Well, the way the watch does it calculates. There's your basal metabolic rate, which would be what you burn just lying in bed. And then everything else is
it doesn't count for the steps, even though I didn't track it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's helpful. So I burn about, say, 14 to 1,600, and then your activity, right? So if say you do no activity, that's not a lot of calories.
No.
Like 1,400 calories, you can eat that so easily.
Like
remember how I just said my protein shakes, right? Say that's your breakfast. And then your snacks, that's easily 800 calories. You still have lunch and dinner left if you don't fast.
Yeah.
Right? I tend to just eat 2 meals a day. I can't eat, if I have my breakfast like that, I tend to not eat until dinner.
Yeah.
Because again, when I work out, my appetite's suppressed.
Yeah.
I'm only taking those granola bars for fuel. Like I do not feel hungry.
But that's only on rides.
That's what those are rides. I'm speaking specifically to a really demanding 2.5 hour mountain bike ride.
Yeah,
and where my heart rate's like at 155 on average.
Yeah, like that's going to be one of those things that most people are never going to do.
Right, but I'm just giving an example of how much I eat for that. Whereas on a day-to-day basis, I intermittently fast. I have my coffee. I don't eat until lunch.
Yeah, my
lunch tend to be I stick to the protein. So any leftovers. It's always leftovers. That's the easiest way to do it. Or I make these protein bagels. It's basically meat bagels. It's a meat donut.
Yeah.
And I put cream cheese on it, and I'm so full because there's 2 slices of that, right? Yeah. Or I'll have 2 scoops of protein, shake.
Yeah.
So 2 servings. Done. So I've got my protein, and then I have my dinner. My dinner is just protein and salad, protein and vegetables. That's it. And I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
Although.
But then you snack on peanut butter all the time.
Yeah.
So you're a liar. Liar.
Well, this is why I'm going back on the keto diet very strict on a menu thing, because I'm trying to reset.
Yeah.
Because like we talked about the slippery slope, right? Because my weakness is peanut butter and banana. Love it. Or peanut butter. Because I can go through a jar a week.
Yeah. And that's like.
And I've still lost weight. Like I've maintained.
Yeah. But that jar is like an extra 2,000 calories.
Right. It could be, I'd be losing weight if I didn't eat that.
Yeah.
And Reese's Pieces Buttercups. I love that. So.
How often are you having those?
With the kids since the holidays? Once a week.
Okay.
Not great.
Being
true.
Yeah.
Or when they're with me once, because they're always buying me treats. Because, it's stupid. I got to get them off that.
Yeah.
Anyway. That's why I'm going back on the keto diet, is to reset and refocus.
And that's where regardless of what
the meal plan's good,
what meal plan it is, like a meal plan, right? Like Greg Doucette's Anabolic Diet book is really good.
Mine's Karen Vogel of Keto Diet.
Like so the key is like if you find for whatever calorie level you need to get to, you find a plan and you just execute the plan.
Yeah.
Right. And basically if you and it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it for people.
It really does. And the thinking and that, because I hated cooking, I was really despising it. And I found a lot of joy, actually, in going back to meal plans, because in this particular keto diet book, her menu says such that you make food today and it'll last you it'll be for 3 more meals, 2 more meals. So you're not having to cook every meal, right? Because that is a lot. But there were good meals, and you've really quite enjoyed them as well, and so have the kids. So it works out. It's enjoyable. It's relaxing. You will be successful if you follow a plan that is already proven to work.
Yeah.
It's when you creep and do your own thing that.
Yeah, but because the fact is that and this goes for all of us, right? So don't take this personally when I say it, people. if you doing your own thing was successful, you wouldn't be listening to this episode.
Yeah.
Because the reality is that modern life is busy, right? So the more things you can automate that you can take off your plate, right?
Yeah.
You have a workout plan, right? And you just, put it in your calendar. We all got the magic phones, right? So put it in your calendar. Oh, this is what's on my, from here to here. This is what I'm doing now. You do your workout.
Yeah, that's huge.
And mark that off as a win.
Yeah.
Then you execute the meal plan.
Yeah.
Mark that off each day as a win, right? Because you need to be doing the right things, effective things consistently over time to get yourself where you want to go.
You know what? And that's why I like to shake things up a month at a time, whether it be for nutrition, like I'm talking about your meal plan, right? Or even going back to your exercise. We went from powerlifting to, we spent a lot more time activity wise in the bouldering, bouldering. And you have goals there, right? You have goals. I want to do level 5 or whatever. I want to get it now. My goal for the winter, because the results of losing weight and getting stronger and increasing my cardio. When we went back into the climbing gym, roped climbing, I found out I was at 5'9". What that means is there's this whole, if you get to 5'10", when you get to 5'10", you can master that. You now can get into a different kind of climbing called lead climbing. I won't explain it in detail, but it's more complicated.
But for those of you who know, you know.
Yeah. And for me to go back into the gym at 5'9" is actually a big deal for me, because in the past I would be 5'7". And I was nowhere near close. I know that this is very obtainable for me. So this is a little bit of a goal and a fun little thing that I'm going to get to. So I'm going to work towards that. So I'm just saying that, or whether it be a challenge, right? There could be, and this Easy Strength program by Coach Dan John, I've never done it before. I may throw, for shits and giggles, my next training cycle, because usually they're about 4 to 5 weeks at a time, right, is a program, and it progressively gets harder. And it's varied. I might say, okay, I'm done with that. Let's try something different. I want to focus on this, right? This is my goal. This is what I want to do. Keep changing it. Yeah. And that will keep moving the needle. And so sometimes you just got to shake things up to get you to that next goal. Yeah. And that's why I'm going back on the keto diet strictly, because I know I'm going to drop more weight, and that's going to be super motivating for me.
Yeah. And as much as you can, get the people around you to buy in, right? Because as Catherine was saying, it's the people surrounding you that are going to have a huge effect on your success or failure in achieving both, fitness goals, health goals, just improving your quality of life. Yeah. And it's why I put such an emphasis on the fitness side of it, because when you're fitter, other things are more attainable, right? Everything in life is made better by you being fitter. And that's whether it's your work, your mental health, your body composition, your blood markers, when you go, get a blood panel done, and it's like, oh, look, your high density lipids are up and your low density lipids are down and your hormones are better.
So I've actually, in my benefits for my naturopath, it costs like $500, but I got a full exhaustive set of blood work done through, the blood panels. And now I've been able to track where things are good or bad, and even see how the keto diet's affecting me. Am I okay? My vitamin D levels are high, vitamin C. This is all good stuff, especially with COVID, as we know, right? But going then also to fitness, I did a full body scan twice over the course of 2 years that identified some really weak areas. And then when I revisited that improved. That's highly motivating. Mm-hmm. And then what can I work on next? Yeah. So I'm constantly monitoring my progress in different ways, whether through blood panels or through professionally done body scans. I had a body composition mass composition done also 2 years ago at the university. I'm trying to get back in there. I think I can go elsewhere to do it, so I can compare the results. How much percentage of my body weight is muscle.
Yeah.
Has it increased? I mean, that's all kind of exciting, right? And so these are just other things you can do aside from taking your measurements. Also really interesting.
Yeah,
When I did that one challenge, I actually dropped maybe 2.5 inches in my waist in 1 month.
Yeah. Doing the 10,000 swing challenge.
Yeah. And so part of that challenge, doing 10,000 swings in a month, is like, this is crazy. But people are known to drop a lot of weight. I want to do it.
Yeah.
Let's see how crazy, let's try and debunk this myth. Or sometimes you're like, okay, I'm on, you know? And to know that you can get results is motivating.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like when we've talked about the lifestyle side of it, the more I'll take that a step back. So many years ago, Catherine's lifestyle was very homebody. You know, there wasn't a lot of physical activity. There was not a lot of like emphasis on quality of food. You know, like food was a thing you did. It wasn't sort of something you were thinking about as far as what you were eating. And
no, I actually was doing Weight Watchers then, and I was very big on not eating processed foods for quite a while. It wasn't working for me though.
Yeah, because it
worked a little bit, but not much.
The whole system wasn't there.
No.
You know, but then, you know, since you...
Hang on. I hated tracking. I'm going to say that because not everybody's good at tracking. I am lazy. I'm lazy. So, well, that's why a menu plan, if you just stick to it, you don't have to track. You just do it.
Yeah.
And that's why, going back to the training, I don't like training. I don't like exercise. I really don't.
Stop saying that.
I'm sorry, but it's the truth. It's hard for me. And I know you say that. Don't say that. Okay, I do.
It's negative self-talk. Like basically, by telling yourself that you like it, it will eventually become a fulfilling prophecy. Whereas when you keep saying,
I know.
Like, because the thing is if I'm not here or you don't get Ryan to come over, you don't work out.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Because you just keep...
You're right. Although the biking, other things I will do.
Yeah.
But
you do the stuff you like.
I recognize that there's this piece that I grapple with.
Yeah.
And I'm being super honest with people because I'm trying to explain how I get around it. So I know connecting with others, bringing them into my thing, and I'll motivate them and we'll do it, right? Makes me accomplish my task or challenges.
But you would get sort of another level up if it's just like you would tell yourself you like it.
I see what you're saying. I mean, it's not that I don't enjoy parts of it. I do, but it's getting to the table to do it is hard for me.
Yeah.
But the things like scheduling really makes a difference. You just go do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's why what is motivating for me are doing exercise workouts that are just 20, 30 minutes. I will do that versus an hour and a half, right? So, but going back to my lifestyle beforehand, really, letting others know everybody wants the best for you. It tends to be you that gets in the way of your own fitness, for example. I find this a lot with moms. They tend to be the nurturer and they tend to feel guilty if they're to take some time away, and especially when they're doing workouts at gyms, they tend to spend way too much time. And this is why we're mentioning these workouts. It doesn't have to be that, and you can do it at home. Okay. But they feel guilty to take care of themselves, whereas the men usually often will be more comfortable with that.
Yep, we are.
Right?
Because we know we cannot look after anybody else if you don't look after yourself.
Yeah. So even if they do work out, because, often there are many men who are challenged to even just get the motivation to do that. Mm-hmm. They're quite comfortable with their dad bods or whatever.
Well, I don't know if anybody's comfortable with it. Or quite honestly,
I know some guys that just embrace it.
Yeah. They
just feel it's the stage of life. They talk about being old. And it's like, you're younger than me.
Yeah.
You need to get out of that. It's just who they hang out with. Mm-hmm. It's their neighbors. They do the barbecue and beer thing. It's their comfort zone. And
there's nothing wrong with that. Just the rest of the time, hang out with people younger than you that have cool, funky hobbies.
Yeah.
Who it's like, oh, well, we're mountain biking. Oh, we're going rock climbing. Oh, we're, playing ball hockey or, whatever.
Whatever it is that's active that you love, do it.
But the more people you surround yourself with that And hey, guys, because I think this works better for guys than women. I know I'm going to be accused of being sexist for this, but you need a group of friends that go, hey, you're getting fat.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know how well, I would never say that to a female friend.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where guys will keep each other honest.
Yeah.
It's like, do you really need that triple burger there, bud?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's that kind of thing where it helps to have people that hold you accountable.
Right.
But, sort of back to my original point, which is since your separation, you have totally changed your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right. It's a thing where you have free time, right? We have a day off or something. We're going and doing something.
Like, yeah. Our free time spent doing active things.
Yeah.
And even
we go on trips, it's doing active things.
It's all centered around that. My living room, half of it is a gym.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people do that, but I don't care. It's what we do. And I like it. I like seeing my stuff. It makes me feel good about my lifestyle and what I'm doing, and I'm actually using it.
Yeah. And the fact is like, it's not like that exercise bike that gets used as a clothes rack.
Right.
Right. It's this reminder. Oh, there's the chin up bar. Even if it's just throughout the day, going and hanging to open up your shoulders.
Yeah, even if it's more for mobility or whatever.
But it's all those little pieces. When half of your living room, and because sort of open concept here, you can see it from the kitchen. Yeah. Like you walk past it every day. Like
it's like the backdrop from my Zoom calls. Yeah. People can see it. Which then really pulls out of the woodwork others who are also fitness geeks and nerds, and you end up spending part of your Zoom call showing off each other's gyms. But then you expand your network, right? And this is all healthy influences. Mm-hmm. But, even though I was on my own, and yes, I was co-parenting, when I had my kids for limited amount of time, and even when I had them, I picked them up from school, they had to go to bed like 2 hours later. I still worked out. Yeah. And that was at first hard for me. But I explained to them, and I was able to then justify my mind because I kind of had no choice. I needed to lose weight and get strong. And I was reminded how much of what I was doing is being a very good role model to my kids of how fitness and strength is important. And it just turned out that eventually we started bouldering and they could do it with us. Mm-hmm. And now being able to work out at home, they work out with us.
Yeah.
So it's even better.
Yeah, because you're laying the groundwork that your children will not follow in the same path that you did.
Right.
Right? Because it's one of those things where fitness and, healthy eating and, a free time that's built around active things, not playing video games. We go mountain biking with the kids.
Right.
So it's those types of things that when they're adults, hopefully we've created habits and pastimes that then carry on with them.
Right. Yeah. And so I think just to round out our whole fitness regimen, aside from working out, so I have 4 days a week right now that I work out, and they're split between 2 upper bodies, 2 lower bodies.
Yeah.
In addition to that, on the weekend, when it's just you and I, we'll do a nice hard mountain bike ride.
Yeah, because if you think
between like 2.5 to 4 hours, like somewhere in there, right? And that includes breaks, but usually around around 3 hours is my focus.
Yeah,
2.5 to 3 hours for solid mountain biking.
Yeah, like eventually when you have better cardio, then we'll go for a long ride. It's
not my cardio; it's my strength. It's my lower back. That's giving out.
I'm just sort of joking that, a 3-hour ride's a short one.
It's definitely not my cardio.
I'm just happy, like I'm the old man.
Yeah.
And, it's like yesterday.
I just overtrain a little bit. And,
we're riding,
Did you do a lower body day the day before?
On Friday?
Yeah. Was it lower body?
No, I'm smart. I did upper body.
Yeah, I did lower body.
Yeah. But it's a thing where Ryan is like, yeah, my goal, is just one day just to be able to keep up with you.
Yeah.
Right.
You'll get there.
Yeah. But now here's one of the things that I will tell people right now in my group of friends, right? Because it's in my riding buddies.
Yeah.
I'm the fastest. And
you're not gaining from hanging out with us, right?
But the thing is, I ride and then I just wait for you guys.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm getting faster.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. But if I was riding with people faster than me,
yeah, you get better.
I would make more progress. And then
Right.
I would be the one going, oh, yeah, I'm just about done.
Right.
Because I get long breaks.
Not terribly long.
No, but you don't get any.
That's right. So I'm making quite a bit of progress.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you guys, like when we come to a crossroads of a trail, I'll stop.
And then when I'm there,
as soon as you guys show up, I'm gone again.
Yeah.
Right. It's my old thing where on a group ride, like a mountain bike group ride, whoever's the slowest gets the best workout because they get no breaks.
Yeah. So we do one of those a week. If we can do two, that'd be gravy, right? And that's all fun. This is not even considered as working out. This is just fun. But it inherently, like you're burning between 1,200 and 1,500 calories a session.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's the cardiovascularly the most demanding thing we do.
Yeah. So there's that. But I also am supposed to, and now that my kids aren't with me, I can do it this week, is ride 3 other times. Is it 3 other times or 2 other times? 3 other times this week for 45 minutes, 1 hour at an aerobic state, no more than 130 beats per minute.
You should be able to talk.
Yeah. And it's not a workout. It's just...
it is a workout. It's just a different intensity.
For me, it's enjoyable. I put on a podcast. It's chill. It's super chill. It's easy. I listen to podcasts. I'm just moving my hips. And I center it around lunchtime to get me away from my computer. It's a nice break, and I love it. So that's what it looks like. That's what... And the 10,000 steps a day is amazing.
When you can fit it.
I can fit it in. That's my goal.
Yeah.
Right. So having a dog, which I will have all this week, is phenomenal. I will get it.
Yeah. And that's that kind of thing where it might seem like a lot, right? But the thing people have to ask is how important is your health to you, right?
But you can always attach these things to fun things that you love.
Well, but there is that fundamental part where sometimes you are going to have to make sacrifices, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't have everything.
No.
Right? Like you can't watch TV all day or all night, right? Like, whatever downtime you have, finding little places to get a bit more activity in. Finding ways that you can fit some strength training in. And it's just, think of it as like little steps. Like Catherine's lifestyle that she currently lives was 5 years in the making.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just adding little pieces. Like, because the mountain biking we talk about a lot, but you started mountain biking last summer.
I know.
Right?
It's pure joy.
Yeah.
It's not work. Like, it's not work at all. And then
don't believe her. It's very hard work.
It is hard, but
it's fun.
It's fun. It's not like being on a friggin' Stairmaster.
Like, it's not...
Or a rowing machine.
Like, it's physically taxing, but mentally fun. Right, because you're playing.
Yeah.
Right, so...
And you feel like a big kid.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's a lot of fun. And then, just going back to the morning walks, if you need to get in just, lower, steady activity, pop in a podcast. Like, for me, that's actually... I feel like my cup fills with my me time. Kind of like if I was to read a book. I feel like that's very self-indulgent. For me, in my mind, it's almost like I'm not doing anything. I'm not productive, although you'd argue differently. It is very good to read. But for me, if you see me reading, I'm really letting go of the world, which is hard for me to do. And so so it's become a ritual, even now because I experienced it with the dogs. They kind of got me conditioned about how much I liked it. I take a coffee, put on my podcast, go for a walk around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
even when I didn't have the dogs, just because I enjoyed it, listening to the news. Love it. Because, right now I'm not commuting. And that's one of the things I loved when I commuted was listening to the news in the morning or a couple podcasts, whatever it was. So that's my me time. So I've coupled it with something I enjoy, even though I don't like walking, just walking, I need to be doing something else.
Well, that's where podcasts like this one can help you.
Yeah, there you go.
So those are some actionable tips that just work. It's not fancy. It's not, latest, greatest, buzz, secret, whatever, like unlocking the key but like this is the shit that works.
It does, yeah. So if you're just joining us on this topic, you've never heard any of the other podcasts that we've done, but you're interested in hiking, backpacking, rock climbing, or mountain biking, we have podcasts that dissect each of those and talk about how to get into it, how to do it better, how to get the gear for it, for example, for backpacking, and fitness for it as well. So we'll put that all in the show notes. And
yeah, and then if people have questions, because there's more details that you sometimes can get into that we might not cover, but send us an email or reach out on Facebook, Live Wild Radio. Send us a message on the website, livewildradio.com. There's all sorts of ways to reach out to us. Instagram, Live Wild Radio.
Yeah. And if we've motivated you to get into it, do check out our partnership with Giria,
Great Lakes Giria.
They not only have kettlebells, Giria is Russian for kettlebell, but they have all the fitness equipment at great prices, and they're available. And they also help us out. We get a cut of it. So check it out. And
basically go to greatlakesgiria.com and use promo code LiveWild for 5% off.
That's if you're in Canada. And if you're in the US, it's US.
US.greatlakesgiria.com.
Right.
But if you are in the US and you go to the regular .com, it'll say, do you want to go here? So it's pretty straightforward. And for $99 minus your 5%, you get the most badass pull-up bar.
I was pretty impressed with that price.
Yeah. Like we have a commercial grade.
It is great quality
pull-up bar.
Yeah.
I love their kettlebells.
Yeah.
They're spectacular. I think the kettlebell, it's not something we recommend to beginners, because it helps to have some instruction so you learn how to use them properly. But one of the best training tools you can get. And then like that pull-up bar, like that thing's amazing. Like we could hang a truck from it.
With the way we set it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah. So that can give you the tools you need, to build your own home gym. And, so there. So reach out, questions, all that jazz. And until next time, I'm Winston.
I'm Catherine.
And remember to work hard
and play dirty.